Hello, you're watching VNA Broadcast Daily and following our headlines as usual.
National Assembly Standing Committee's 17th session wraps up in Hanoi. Vietnam-India trade rises over 40% in the first quarter. Festival in Ninh Bình province highlights national first ancient capital.
Individuals and organizations, both at home and abroad, have by far contributed over 26 million comments on the draft amendments to the 1992 Constitution since the poll was launched 3 months ago.
It was reported to the National Assembly Standing Committee at its 17th session, which closed in Hanoi on April 17th. The report on the work said the people generally agreed with the draft amendments to the Constitution presented by the Committee for Compilation of Draft Amendments to the Constitution. They gave detailed, thoughtful and constructive feedbacks on the chapters, clauses and articles of the draft amendments. At their session from April 9th to 17th, the legislators ratified the amended laws on land and science and technology, the law on natural disaster prevention and mitigation, and the law on amendments and supplements to a number of articles of the corporate tax law. Overall, they consented to the government's report on the 2011 state budget balance sheet. They also commented on the negotiations and signing of a government-level agreement on tackling free immigration and unlicensed marriages of those living along Vietnam-Laos border.
Deputy Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc affirmed Vietnam's consistent policy of respecting people's rights to religious and belief freedom. Phúc made the remarks at a reception for representatives of Vietnam Christian Missions Executive Board in Hanoi on April 17th.
At the meeting, Phúc asked Christian dignitaries and followers to become more united and support each other to ensure social welfare and further develop the country. The Vietnamese party, state and government always highly value the contributions of religious dignitaries and followers to the national construction and defense, Phúc added. He praised the efforts made by the mission together with people nationwide over the past years in reducing poverty, building new-style cultural families, and joining charitable activities. A representative of Executive Board affirmed that the mission will continue nurturing the solidarity among its believers and strictly abide by the country's policies and laws on belief and religion. The mission now has more than 31,000 followers, with 48 pastors, 168 missionaries, 5 churches, 83 oratories, and 200 groups in 14 localities across the country.
Vietnam-India trade reached over $1.3 billion in the first quarter of this year. The figure represented a 40.2% rise from the same period last year, according to the Vietnamese Trade Commission in India.
Of the figure, Vietnam export was $433 million, recording a surge of more than 59%, and its import was $774 million, increasing by 29.5%, said Trade Councillor Nguyễn Xuân Hà. Vietnam export items recording high growth rates included phones and phone components, which rose nearly 175% to over $238 million. Computers, electronic products and components of more than 104% to nearly $52 million, and coffee of over 118% to around $26 million. The country imported mainly cotton, corn, medicine, steel, textile and garment materials from its partners.
A project to increase Vietnamese industry's capacity to control greenhouse gas emissions and their ability to adapt to climate change was launched in Hanoi on April 17th. The project was funded by the United Nations Development Programme.
The project, worth $3.05 million, aims to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in industrial production and urban trading opportunities for Vietnamese companies in the green field. It is also expected to improve policymakers' awareness of climate change and support links to industrial businesses, financial institutions, and service providers to boost investment in sustainable industrial production. It comprises of 3 sub-projects, one of which is to analyze policies and factors that have influenced greenhouse gas emissions in production and consumption, as well as recommend suitable technical solutions to the matter. The projects will end in 2016.
A Japanese-funded project will transfer technology to have Vietnam produce its own combined measles and rubella vaccine.
The work will be part of a $7.51 million project that was signed on April the 17th between the Japan International Cooperation Agency and Vietnam's Center for Research and Production of Vaccine. The 5-year project is expected to begin in May. Japanese experts will come to Vietnam to have transfer technology, while Vietnamese researchers will receive training in Japan under the project. A measles vaccine production facility, whose construction was funded by Japanese grant aid for the 2003 and 2006 term, will be capable of producing a combined measles rubella vaccine with possible export of the vaccine to follow. With the measles vaccine production facility and advanced Japanese technology, we believe that Vietnam will be able to produce high-quality measles and rubella vaccines to respond to domestic needs and also export the vaccine to neighboring countries. Health sector statistics show that more than 4,000 pregnant women have rubella, while more than 200 babies were born with congenital defects due to rubella in 2011.
A 9-volume book collection featuring the history of Vietnam's struggle against the U.S. invaders during the 1954 to 1975 period made its debut at a ceremony in Ho Chi Minh City on April 17th.
The collection was compiled by the Military History Institute of Vietnam and published by the National Politics Publishing House. It is expected to give readers a proper and scientific insight into Vietnam's revolutionary heroism, the sound leadership of the Communist Party of Vietnam and President Ho Chi Minh, and lessons drawn during the arduous, protracted resistance war. On the occasion, a CD-ROM on the history of Southern Resistance War was also released. As a major scientific work of political significance, it was compiled under the guidance of former Prime Minister Võ Văn Kiệt, chairman of the compiling steering board over the past 10 years. Both print and audio versions are expected to play an important role in educating historic tradition of the nation. Addressing the ceremony, Deputy Secretary of the Municipal Party Committee, Nguyễn Thị Thu Hà, said, "These publications not only hold massive academic values, but also serve as tributes to soldiers and compatriots who laid down their lives for national independence and reunification."
A resounding drum performance opened the Hoa Lu Ancient Capital Festival on April 17th in the northern province of Ninh Bình. The festival was an event in tribute to King Dinh Tiên Hoàng, who established the first centralized feudal state in Vietnam in 968. Let's take a look.
In 968, Dinh Bộ Lĩnh ascended to the throne and took the name of King Dinh Tiên Hoàng and reunified the country under the name of Đại Cổ Việt, whose ancient capital is Hoa Lu in Ninh Bình province. The location of the kingdom was based on favorable geographical conditions owned by the locality. During the 12-year reign, which ended in 979, King Dinh Tiên Hoàng built a strongly institutionalized dynasty with a well-arranged administration and strong military force, and prioritized making use of natural land reserves and developing economy, culture, and arts. As part of the National Tourism Year on Red River Delta 2013, the event is expected to promote provincial tourism potential and cultural products to domestic and international visitors. The festival aims to remark the offspring of the traditional national construction and defense fostered by our ancestors. This is also a chance to promote patriotism and national pride among younger generations and encourage them to do more for the nation. At the opening ceremony, festival gatherers joined in a water parade from the Huanglong River to King Ding's temple, and the festive atmosphere, which was created by numerous activities such as a chill traditional opera singing, traditional wrestling, a human chess play, and artifact shows. A special art performance recorded Ding Bo Ling's shrine ceremony.
And that comes to the end of today's program. We thank you for watching. See you next time.